चलिए, तो ये सीधी तस्वीरें हैं रायपुर से, जहां एनटीपीसी का O&M सम्मेलन का ये आयोजन है और ये सीधी तस्वीरें हम आप तक पहुंचा रहे हैं।
Sustainable power, I think that is the theme which I was bringing in. And initially, what was when the NTPC started way back in 1975, both NHPC and NTPC, I think the idea of putting the thermal power plants at the pit head was a great idea, and we must commend all those who were involved at that point of time, because these are not only giving the lowest cost, but I think these are not putting the stress or the strain on the Indian Railway for transporting the coal. And the issues related with the coal supply are minimal at the pit head power station when we are comparing with the others. And with that thing in mind, I think the new projects what we are undertaking now, there has been many meetings and where Secretary Sir has been always saying that we should be only limiting to the pit head power station. Probably this has come from the government itself, and that is the right thing to be done. So, as I was just mentioning that we should try to deliberate most of the things that how well we can maintain, operate so that the reliability, safety, compliance to the environment conditions, and above all, I think feeding the power as per the requirement of the grid can be sustained in the short term, in the medium term, and in the long term. In my opinion, the onus on the thermal power station has gone up much higher than what it used to be when we used to get 100% DC. And I can say here that when in '96, when I had moved out and joined a European company, and we were discussing that we can generate as much as we want. So that was becoming a surprising thing, because during that period, I think the concept in our country was that if the unit is available, it will generate. Why to reduce the load? And slowly, I think we moved towards a situation when we had enough capacity that we have to generate as per the requirement of the grid, not as per the availability of the machine. That status today is with the renewable, but in all certainty that will also be challenged very soon in coming years. Ultimately, the grid requirement has to be paramount, and we have to operate the assets as per the requirement of the demand of the grid rather than the availability of the generating assets. So in this context, our earlier SOPs, standard operating procedures, our training of the people, and our kind of experience, what was there to maximize the generation, is now getting changed to something that make the units available, make the unit reliable, and make sure that you are able to generate, you are able to flex as per the requirement of the grid. And this is posing many challenges. And along with that, there are many challenges which are coming from the regulatory and the policy side. Always there will be many issues from the generator side that why we are put up on the kind of disadvantageous position. And I, on behalf of all of you, keep telling them in the different forums that our plants were designed for the base load. You can't really just say that now you should start changing them. The rule of the game cannot be changed so easily, because we require some changes in the machine, and we have to be careful about the long-term integrity of the assets. It should not be that today we are able to meet, but I think it is equally important that the long-term integrity of these assets are maintained, because otherwise the life of these plants is getting affected. And in this context, my request to Secretary Sir as well as the CE Chairman is there that the whole pressure should not be coming to the central generating stations. It should be distributed across all the assets. Otherwise, we will end up in kind of losing some of the most precious assets in the term of the life, and it may require much higher kind of maintenance and outage schedules. So that is one thing which is quite important. We are a commercial organization. We are driven by our top line, bottom line. Along with that, our prime responsibility of feeding the power as per the requirement, and that comes before the, I think then that was being said, like what we take care of people who are working with us. Similarly, the grid comes first before the profit. But at the same time, it has to be ensured that we are taking care of the long-term integrity of the assets. So at present, when we are having this gas-based assets of around 24 gigawatt, but hardly then we are able to operate except that what the terminology what we have given crunch period. Apart from that, rarely I think in a few hours it is being dispatched, and the uncertainty in the gas market is still prevailing. So in this context, I think we will be further dependent on the coal-based assets, and that too also the domestic coal-based assets, which are I think except about 19,000 megawatt put together, maybe I think 16,000 or 17,000 you can say, but there is another 2,000 which is kind of blended coal. So put together, that does not make a very, very big percentage. So this is primarily on the our domestic coal. And coal itself is one of the big issues. So yesterday we had been spending time with all the HOPs, and it was coming out very clearly that with this changing load requirement and not having the uniform quality of coal, it is aggravating the problem for the machines, and the trippings have increased, and especially when the machines are running at the technical minimum, which is 55%, and if there is variations which are happening in that area, I think this is really putting the assets under tremendous stress. So the other request, especially to CA Chairman, is that we should be looking at, I think in detail, we will be more than happy to get involved from NTPC side, that we should study, and we should define some kind of ramp rates to ensure the long-term integrity of the assets rather than anything else. There is no doubt that it has to come to 55%, which we have kind of achieved in all the assets, but at the same time, frequent ramping up, ramping down at 55% or closer to that, let's say 55 to 60 or 55 to 65, and then come back. I think in this smaller blocks, it is the thermal power plants will be finding it very difficult. Technically, it may be possible to achieve, but in that case, there will be impact on the availability and the cost. That is going to be much more important on that side. The training of the people, talent management, I think there are not many people who were interested to come to this sector, because the sector was considered to be not a kind of rising star, but every time whenever we discuss, and we will hear the viewpoint from Chairman C as well as Secretary Sir, that this is going to stay for a long time, for about 30 to 40 years. So the people who are joining even today, they can expect a very, very good career in the sector. So they should not be having any hesitation. What is requirement is that they should develop themselves, and we should invest in their training and development, so that they are able to take care of not only the today's requirement, but also anything which is going to crop up in the future, as the renewable energy is going to be more and more coming into the grid, and there will be further requirements. We heard that there is some talk which is about two-shift operation which is going on for some of the testing of the machine, but I believe that with the correction in the storage solutions, we should also start looking at that how we can avoid the backing down or flexing of the units. I think this should be one of the paramount things which I would like to put up as one of the requests to the ministry and Secretary Sahib here, that we must come out with the policy interventions and regulatory interventions, so that the requirement to ramp up, ramp down of the coal-based assets which were designed for a kind of stable load operation, it should be minimized. This is equally important, and that will help the grid in a overall optimization also when we are putting it. The reason being that if we are backing down, there is already a fixed charges which is accrued and which is being paid ultimately by the consumers, and there is a efficiency side loss which happens when we are backing down, and this not only increases the cost but also it is increasing the emissions on that side. So put all these things together, we have to come out with the policies which is going to be, I think, forward looking, rather than only talking about that we should be going below 55% and going towards the 40%. I think in today's context, our considered opinion is that we should not be looking at anything coming below 55%. If there is going to be some other changes which happens, if there is storage is not possible, definitely I think we can have a relook and we can redesign the system on that side. So all in all, the coal-based assets and the gas-based assets are going to be for a long time, and we have to see that these assets are properly maintained. The C&I, especially the control and instrumentation part, which requires for the better control, and that helps in ramping up, ramping down to limit the stresses on the machine. I think this is one of the requirement, and we should be taking in all the units on that side. Before I say something further, I believe that out of around 600 odd units of the coal-based in the country, almost 200 units are more than 25 years old. 25 years has not much meaning, but still, because these are the design-wise as well as some of the assets which were in the hands of some other state companies may not be in the good condition, so there is a requirement of the R&M. This point also comes again and again, but I think there is a focused approach which is required, and we should have a program which should be run, time-bound program like the new plant capacity addition. Parallelly, I would request the chairman as well as I think
तो साय कैबिनेट के महाकुंभ स्नान की तस्वीरें आप तक पहुंचाएंगे। फिलहाल हम रुक करते हैं रायपुर का। यहां पर एनटीपीसी का ONM सम्मेलन आयोजित किया गया है, जिसका शुभारंभ हो चुका है।
And many more which are still persisting in the power segment. I am a believer that anything cannot achieve 100% efficiency until unless we continuously strive to achieve that, and there is always a scope of improvement. And that is what has been demonstrated in each of such events which I have been attending earlier also from CA as part of deputy directors as such, and I have been seeing that things have improved quite a bit, and there are further scopes for its improvement as well. CA last year celebrated 50 years as a golden jubilee, and it's heartening to see that NTPC is also in their 50th year.
एनटीपीसी के 3 दिवसीय सम्मेलन का आगाज हो चुका है। टेक्नो गैलेक्सी प्रदर्शनी 2025 का भी आयोजन इस दौरान किया गया है। प्रदेश भर के जो कर्मचारी हैं, अधिकारी हैं, वो इस कार्यक्रम में पहुंचे हुए। एक्सीलेंस अवार्ड से भी सम्मानित किया जाएगा।
That is just a number, probably. It has continued to deliver even after 40 years of its existence and at its full of its capacity, which shows what is the importance of ONM for a particular power plant and which can continue to deliver.
एनटीपीसी के 3 दिवसीय सम्मेलन का आगाज हो चुका है। टेक्नो गैलेक्सी प्रदर्शनी 2025 का भी आयोजन किया गया है। एक्सीलेंस अवार्ड से भी इस दौरान अधिकारियों को, कर्मचारियों को सम्मानित किया जाएगा। 3 दिन का ये सम्मेलन है जिसका आगाज अब हो चुका है। रायपुर में इस कार्यक्रम का आयोजन किया गया है। एनटीपीसी ओएनएम का ये सम्मेलन है। एक्सीलेंस अवार्ड से भी लोगों को इसमें सम्मानित किया जाएगा।
Probably in collaborations with or in taking all the stakeholders of the thermal power plants also together in this journey. I think what has been said by CMD NTPC is an excellent example of adoption of energy transition, and which NTPC has been demonstrating, starting from thermal, going towards hydro. I think coal dam was the first one. Then jumping into renewables with solar, wind, storage, hydro pump storage, which is in the pipeline, and new in the element is going to be nuclear. So I think you cover almost all the segments what leads to energy transition, and not only that, even in thermal as well, there are efforts that are going on to how to make it clean, and the efforts that has been taken by the NETRA and others, and I think some demonstration project has also come in terms of coal capture, utilization, CCUS technology that is being developed and successfully demonstrated in one of the plants of the NTPC. Probably we will be trying to take it further forward to other uses as well. There have been other new areas wherein there are efforts which are being made, and that is towards the green hydrogen, ammonia, electric mobility, and coming back to towards the new technology sites, and probably besides CCUS, I think that you have also demonstrated good example of ash disposal. Probably most of your plants almost touching to 100% of ash disposal, and the new products out of ash which is being made. Biomass co-firing, probably that was another area which was, if I am not mistaken, it was started by NTPC first, and now it is being mandated for others as well. So, from the production products, how best it can be utilized, and of late now, I think Director Fuel is also here. So, mining is another area which is in the kitty of NTPC. All these areas now, I will say, in the era of energy transition, though this ONM conference started with only thermal and the focus was on thermal, probably we will have to shift that focus to all areas and all segments of the power sector, be it the thermal, hydro and all others as well. I think the asset management part has been reflected truly in this, and optimal use of resources, the supply chain challenges definitely is going to be there and might aggravate as well because of the energy transition. So this is the right time we start deliberating on this, thinking on this, and try to see how we can sustain, because as rightly said, coal is going to sustain and will be a sustainable source of energy for Indian conditions going forward. In fact, we had run a number thinking that, let's say that we decelerate the process of energy transition for a steady purpose. We could see that coal acceptability further goes up, even beyond 80 gigawatt what we have targeted to. But since we have to go for energy transition, probably it will be moderated to that extent. But still, at least to 2040, 2045, definitely we will be having most of these coal-based power plants. Probably after that it might start getting reduced. But still, there will be, these capacity will still remain with some modifications, some technological advancement, and if cleaner way of using coal is made more cost effective, probably the things can be can be sustained for a further period of time as well. In the net zero scenario, definitely what we have been seeing, and which is a good opportunity for NTPC and all others as well, is the renewable area, wherein we have seen that it grows almost to 9 to 10 times in 2047 time frames, and further in the time frame of 2070 as well. Nuclear definitely is a very big opportunity which is being harnessed by them. More important is the new challenges that the grid is going to face, mainly because of the renewable integrations. One of the things was highlighted by CMD NTPC, that's the flexible operation of thermal power plants. How best you can reduce it, maybe by complementing it with the storage, that's one part. But there could be some other ways and means as well. But what will be more important is, because of the renewables and the area in which NTPC is also there, and the country is also moving in that directions, we need to be more focused on the challenges, and particularly meeting the stability conditions, meeting the technical requirements, particularly LVRT, HVRT, compensations, harmonic compensations, etc., etc. So all these things